Are you curious about being a channel for spirit? Well then, this video is for you. Welcome to the channel, everyone. My name's Fola, and here on Deep Mind Squared, we talk all things magical practices and altered states. And in this video, I'm excited to talk about channeling, mediumship, whatever you want to call it. The ability to basically open up your energy field and receive guidance and wisdom from unseen forces. So let us know in the comments below, what are your thoughts about channeling? Have you ever done it? Do you believe in it, or are you a skeptic? Because all things are welcome here, and I hope to just kind of shed some light on this very interesting topic. So channeling and mediumship has been around for many, many centuries. We've seen it across different cultures, various like religious and spiritual groups, accessing different states of mind. Oftentimes in the past, it would be through the form of oracles or people who are like designated to be these sort of like channels for spirit. We know of like the oracle at Delphi, for instance, where people would come in hopes of gaining, insights about like, hey, am I going to be able to win that battle? Or what should I do in this certain area of like war or whatever it might be? And they really perceive these oracles, who are oftentimes women, to be like direct channels to the divine. And so this wisdom could come through. But yes, various different cultures and religious groups have some form of channeling, of mediumship. I think this is also where we have like glossolalia, the whole light language or speaking in tongues concept. Just that when it comes to channeling, oftentimes it is in the person's native tongue, so you can actually understand what's being said. But this channeling has been known across time and has definitely had its fair share in various New Age spiritual groups at this point, with lots of different books that have come out, like Paul Selig, various Abraham Hicks books, and so many different people who, have connected to spirit and mentioned channeling. I myself have written a book, which sometimes I'm like, well, where did that really come from? It was connecting to the like Babalon energy, and information just seemed to come. This inspiration came through. So I think it's really important we're just mindful that we don't, we have a little bit of like skepticism, a little bit of discernment, so that we're not completely just allowing ourselves to truly believe what we're seeing or hearing, because things change. But basically with channeling or mediumship, people are opening themselves up to become like this radio tower and open to the various frequencies of transmission, so that then they can share message through a variety of different mediums, whether it's written word, if it's through music and other forms of art, if it's through like speaking words and so forth. So I truly believe that many times we are like channeling, like almost all the time, actually. I kind of think that, where I'm sure you've seen this happen. Maybe you're like talking with someone and then all of a sudden you just start speaking things and you're finished the conversation or finished what you're saying and kind of like, well, where did that all come from? I know this has happened to me, and I hang out with people that this happens to, and most of the people that I hang out with are like, oh, like I was just completely in like a flow of words there. So receive what you will of it. There's no right or wrong. And obviously with channeling too, I think most like decent channelers like even say this, the fact that the message might not be for you. So it doesn't necessarily mean that it's like wrong. It's just that might not be your truth, and that's totally okay. So who are some famous channelers, first off? I think that you can find so many different people. We talk about like early in the I think it was like 1960s, 1970s. There was the Seth books, and these books were channeled, written form of information through Jane Roberts, who had this paranormal activity going on. And so you can check out a lot of these different books online. There's lots of different like material out there. And of course, with all like channelers, I think there's people who say like, yeah, that's completely true. And then there's people who are like, no, we can debunk this, it's all fake, whatever. So use your discernment again. But yeah, Jane Roberts, Sylvia Brown, I mentioned Abraham Hicks, which is channeled by like Esther Hicks. They focus a lot more on like law of attraction and positive thinking in order to manifest the things that you want. But that is something that's been going on for many, many years now. And I find just listening to Abraham Hicks to be like uplifting for me energetically, even though when I initially started listening to them, I didn't even really understand what was being said, but something was like pulling me like, okay, just keep opening up to it. So it's really about the vibration again. Another great one I would suggest is listening to Lee Carroll and the Kyron channeling. That one for sure is like another level. I just find if I put it on and just like chill with it, then I can notice that like vibration in my body and my energy field shifting. But some other really well-known channelers and healers included Edgar Cayce, who would go into like a full-on trance. I believe he like didn't move and would channel information and was able to heal people because of things he was getting, like as this medical intuitive. Also, there's Chico Xavier, I believe Brazilian spiritist, quite well known in Brazil, channeled a lot of written words around different areas of spiritism. What does it look like in the afterlife and all that? Definitely interesting things to look into. And then, of course, I have to mention here Aleister Crowley, though some people might not really agree that he's channeled, but like that's what he says he does. And it's kind of interesting. This guy just like follows me around in my life, apparently. But even as I was writing out my notes on the deck, as I started typing his name, like these two birds just came like right in front of my face. I'm like, okay, dudes, like let's just calm down for a moment here. But you know, some books that I would suggest that he apparently channeled are like the Book of Lies and the Book of the Law. Both really interesting reads. And you know, I mentioned these different channelers kind of leaves you from this like place of, you know, different radio stations. What might interest you might be very different than what interests someone else. And so have an open mind, use your discernment. Don't like give all your power away just because someone channels and tells you like you need to do this thing. We still need to think for ourselves and know what's our truth. And that frequency or like radio channel that we can like turn the knob and like, okay, which one do I want to listen to? Which one do I want to connect with? You're allowed to change that at any point. No one can control that for you. But what are some things that I've noticed myself? I mean, having kind of gone into spaces where I feel like I'm channeling, dare I say, involuntarily or not like consciously, and then times where I've like consciously made a choice, you know, with a group of people or whatever to channel something, a being, some type of energy. There are a few things that I've learned that I think are really important. And from what I've read with like previous spiritist groups or channels from over the years, these are like super important things. So if you are interested in channeling or like wanting to like, you know, maybe you're curious about starting, then definitely I would encourage you to consider these little tips. First off, you know, again, when it comes to tuning into these different frequencies, it's super important that you connect with what your body needs. And I do believe, and I've experienced, where if we are allowing these different like energies into our physical body, which is basically what's happening, that's why we're able to then like vocalize or move through writing or drawing, whatever it might be. We have to actually balance our energy. We have to maintain like healthy eating. Some people would say that you want to eat like the really high vibrational foods, which I kind of would have to say I agree with. You don't want to be eating like a lot of processed, unhealthy things, because at least in my perception, people who do that, who aren't caring for their bodies, that like through the healthy eating, it's going to impact the form of energy that's coming in. And also like the high energy and then the lower vibration of the body, it's gonna cause like this disconnect. I think this is why we see a lot of people who have physical ailments show up. And they would talk about this. I think Allan Kardec, the spiritist who did a lot of like research and looking at it back in France in like the 1800s around different mediums and stuff, that this would happen. People would get sick or like different ailments happen if you're not caring for the body. And so that's why, you know, some youth can do this like very easily, but it could have like long-term impact if they aren't able to really care for themselves and have, I guess, an understanding of what's happening. So what I've learned from doing some channeling, there was one particular time where I was with some ladies and we're like, hey, let's just like have fun because this is what I like to do, be curious. And my friend's like, hey, like channel Mary Magdalene. And so I went into this state and like energy was definitely moving and I was like in and out of like this awareness. But what I do recall was how uncomfortable my body started to feel. Like I was having like intense physical pain. Was it because of how I was sitting? I don't know, because I was sitting like that for a while and I feel like I'm pretty okay to sit like cross-legged, but who knows? Anyways, at the end, the message that had come through, they said it's like, hey, my physical body, this is what Mary Magdalene was saying, like my physical body was not able to hold the energy anymore. And so then the whole like transmission stopped. And when I came back, I was like in so much pain, like so much pain. I was like, whoa, I don't think I'll ever do that again. And I thought that was interesting. I'd never had that happen. Like I have been in other opportunities where I have like channeled different beings or energies, whatever. But that to me was a learning like, whoa, like you really need to take care of what you're eating, take care of your physical body. So also through movement, through exercise, like maintaining that sort of thing regularly so that the vibration of my body can be like at a somewhat similar level, hopefully, to what energies are coming in. So just that reminder for you. Also, a huge thing is to balance yourself because these energies can be addictive. Like there's some beings, it's like when you connect to their energy, it's like, oh, it feels like so comforting. And I mean, this is any spiritual practice, I think, where we might want to avoid like our mundane physical life and our experiences, our traumas, whatever it might be. And so we want to go into that like high frequency. But that in itself can be an issue. We can get lost in it. And I think overall, we're not living life. So really needing to find that balance between connecting and living life and just being yourself, not always being open to the things of the universe. And of course, the huge thing is checking the ego, because that is something I've learned where, you know, we can self-doubt or our ego can get in the mix. And sometimes I wonder, like, maybe that's inevitable. And that's the importance, again, of using discernment, because if you are just listening to, you know, someone for 10, 20 years, like, hey, yeah, I like these messages, and then one day they start channeling something that's like just from their ego, their wounds, whatever, not that ego's bad, then it can mislead us. So listen to your intuition, trust yourself. And if you are channeling, you know, have a little bit of that skepticism, because I think otherwise we can give too much weight to the words or visions, images, inspirations that we just receive, because who knows where it's really coming from. Many different people believe that channeling or connecting to these energies are all just like demonic and evil. I don't really think that's the case, especially when you read, like, there are some consistencies across different like channelers. And most of the times it seems very loving and caring, so I don't know how that can be bad. But again, discernment. I feel like I need to like put that as the title of this video, discernment. So what can you do if you're interested in experiencing channeling? I mean, the way I kind of got into some of that was just to practice, just try it. Automatic writing is a great way to do it. That can be just something you do on your own. Just start writing on a page and like your journal, and just keep writing, keep writing. You can even actively make, you know, a like intention of like, hey, I am open to receiving inspiration from the highest vibration, the highest source, something of love, whatever, unless you want to channel something else, like you do you. But just being mindful of, you know, you don't just want to open and let anything in, because then that can happen too. But this is a great way to just do it on your own. And if not, if you have someone you trust, someone who I think has a nice balance of, you know, discernment and skepticism and openness and curiosity, those are the great people to practice with. Like when I first started actually like verbalizing different messages coming through, I was with my ex and we would just like play around with this, and it was kind of neat. We'd record it so then we could listen back to it, because that's a huge thing. You don't necessarily remember what is being said. Some people do, but in my experience, it's almost like a part of myself is behind myself. And so to be fully aware of everything and the energies can be a bit of a challenge. At least I find that. I'm not at that place at this point in my practice. but it might be different for you. There's so many different courses and places that you can go and learn about, like mediumship, channeling, whatever you want to call it. So again, just be aware of who you're learning with, what energies or like vibes are you getting from them. Are they doing it for like the best intention of themselves or for the world, right? Like really need to check into that. And also, what are your intentions of going into it? Because I think that's something to really check into. It's nice to know like, hey, I could be used as this vessel for spirit, but it's like you already are a vessel for spirit. Why do you need to also be knowing that you're like this channeler, right? I think sometimes that can lead to people going around being like, oh, I'm speaking this to you because I am a channel for spirit. Like, fuck off. So anyways, gotta love everyone. But you know what I mean? Just be aware of that and trust that if it's something that you can connect with and something that you're curious about, then you'll find the best ways to do it. Have fun, play, but also remain grounded, because we can't be like super up high all the time. We have to also bring it and integrate it into our bodies. That's how we heal. That's how we hold space, support ourselves, support others, and ultimately start to grow. And again, that reminder, take care of yourself, eat well, eat healthy as much as you can, or do what you need to like boost the energy of your food, stay hydrated, and move, right? Exercise. This body, you've been given it to like experience the world. So you want to make sure that you are able to use it in the best way you can. So I hope this helps you to have a bit of an idea of what channeling is, how it might like show up in your life, how you can start to tap into it. And feel free to like and share this video with anyone you think might benefit from it. I really appreciate your engagement with the videos. It helps me to know that, hey, maybe some of this is actually beneficial for people, and also gives me an idea of where to kind of focus my direction moving forward, because why would I make things that people aren't really that interested in, unless I honestly, well, I kind of just make them because I like it, but it does help me to get an idea of where people are at. And this is ultimately about communities. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I look forward to seeing you again in another video. Bye.